Hello YouTube world, this is Uncle Fester with the Shadetree Survivalist Southern Chapter. Just got finished watching my buddy Mac Daddy's video on my big mouth. Me and Mac Daddy's been buddies ever since we were knee-high to a grasshopper. So I know when my little buddy's upset about something, and I don't know who the guy was in California that was offended at him calling California commie land. But take it from somebody that probably knows better than anybody else. He was sincerely upset that he offended you. I'm going to tell a short story, and this particular story is what I think of as a little bit of sage wisdom. And this is going out to my buddy Mac Daddy, and this is from my heart to you. Take it into consideration. I've probably told this story to you before, and as leader of our group and overall, it's just something that's my job every now and then to try to help my buddy Mac to put things into perspective. I'm going to tell you a little story. Now, before I get started with this story, I want you to keep in mind something that I happen to be a Christian believer, even though I think of myself more as a backdoor Christian than anything else. Probably sometimes more in name than action. I am one of those cussing Christians, as you know, if that's a possibility or something that can actually exist. But in the King James Version of the Bible, a donkey is referred to as an ass. Keep that in mind as I'm telling this story, because it's pertinent to the moral at the end of the story. Down in Mexico, there was this farmer, and there had been a really bad drought, and he didn't make any crops. And he was sitting on a rock next to the road, basically crying the blues. And this traveler come along and saw him crying, and he says, "You know, what's up?" And the little Mexican farmer says, "Well," he says, "you know, we had a bad drought, so I don't have any food, so I don't know how I'm going to feed my family for the rest of the year." And the old traveler sat there for a minute, got thinking about it. He says, "Well, do you have your donkey?" He's like, "Well, yeah, I still got my donkey." He says, "Well, you need to take that down to the big city and sell it." He says, "Take the money off of that and live off of it for the rest of the year." The farmer said, "Well, you know, the donkey's my livelihood. If I ain't got a donkey, I ain't a farmer." He's like, "Well," he said, "you know, your other option is to sit here and keep boo-hooing and starve to death, along with your family." Well, the traveler went on, and the old farmer got to thinking about it, and the more he thought about it, the more he decided that, you know, maybe that made pretty good sense. So he went to the house, and he told his wife what he was going to do. And she didn't like it, but she understood what he had to do and told him to do what he thought was right. So he got his son, he got the donkey, put a bridle on it, put his son on the donkey, and grabbed the bridle, and off they went to the big city. Well, there's my wife's clock. Sorry about that, guys. A little Christmas music, what do you say? Let me get this over. Let this get this over with, and we'll get it, and I'll get back to what I'm doing. Goes on forever. So anyway, as he's going down the road, as you would come to the outskirts of each city, there would be the elders of the city would sit there, and they would greet the travelers that was coming in and give them directions to where they needed to go, or discuss the people that they needed to see or where to find them at. And as they got to the first city, they met one of the head elders. They came out, and he got to looking at it, and he told the old man, he's like, "You know," he said, "that's a really sorry son that you've got right there." He says, "He's going to sit there and sit on the donkey while you as the old man are walking." Well, the old man got to thinking about it, and he told his son, "All right, Pedro, get down. You take the bridle. I'm going to ride for a little while." So they went on through the town, and they got to the next town, and they met the town elder out there. And this particular elder came out and said, you know, he says, that's a really sorry boy. He said, you see, that's a really sorry father that you are, sitting there riding on the donkey while you're making your young son have to walk. So the old man thought about it, and he's like, all right, Pedro, get on the back of the donkey, let's go. So Pedro got on the donkey, and they both rode the donkey to the next town. Well, when they got to this next town, it was a woman that was the head elder, and she was one of those PETA people. And she made him out there, and she's like, look at you two sorry human beings. She's like, all that weight on that poor donkey's back. She's like, y'all ought to be toting the donkey. Well, the old man thought about it, and he's like, all right, Pedro, you grab the front, I'll grab the back. So they grabbed the donkey, and they put it on their shoulders, and here they went. Well, they finally got up to the outside of the big city, and to get to the big city from where they were at, they had to cross this big rope bridge. Well, they got to walking across the rope bridge, and as they did, it got to swaying back and forth and back and forth, and they got all the way back down to the center, and it was getting out there because they had a good wind going, and it was probably about 1,000-foot drop down to the bottom. Well, next thing you know, off comes the donkey, 1,000-foot drop down to the bottom, he's dead. Okay, here's where we get back to the moral of the story. And remember what I said about what a donkey was called in the King James Version. This is the moral of the story. You cannot make everybody happy. If you try to make everybody happy, this is what's going to happen. You're either going to end up selling your ass, you're going to end up with the wrong person on your ass, too many people on your ass, or your ass on your shoulders, or in the end losing your ass altogether. So to my buddy Mac Daddy, keep this in mind. You can't make everybody happy. Speak your mind. Sometimes in war there's going to be casualties. I said this in one of the comments that I made. This is a sincere core belief when Mac Daddy and I sat down and began trying to create the Shadetree Survivalists was that we believe that in America you have the right to swing your arms as much as you want to, but the right to swing my arms stops where your nose begins. Now, as long as you extend that courtesy to us, we try to extend that courtesy to you. But every now and again, when you're swinging the arm, somebody accidentally walks into it. Whoever this kid was in California accidentally walked into it. Sorry about that. But in his apology to you and to those that accidentally walked into that fist, or walked in, as we like to say, as we used to like to say, walked into the gift. When he says he's sincerely sorry, he was. You know, you got to crack a few eggs sometimes to make an omelet. So in that, take a lot of what Mac Daddy says, you know, with a pinch of salt. And Mac Daddy, as far as I'm concerned, keep on keeping on. Speak your mind. Do what you're doing. And I'll always be your biggest fan, bro. This is Uncle Fester with Shadetree Survivalist Southern Chapter signing off. Y'all have a good night. Be good.